Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
Hey everyone, this is Kyo again, and we are doing a react video to the intro of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This game will be on Wii U and NX on, I think, in March 2017. They're doing a simultaneous release between the Wii U and the NX. They've done this before. They did it with the Twilight Princess, and it was pretty successful. Twilight Princess is the best-selling Zelda game that there's ever been.
That is a Sheikah slate. Take it. It will help guide you after your long slumber.
So as you see here, we have the Sheikah slate. This is going to be your little info tablet thing. Mainly this is because the game was initially created for the Wii U, which has the gamepad. So I think they oriented, the info screen around that, which is really nice to see. This is going to be the first sandbox open world 3D Zelda game. Now, the reason I say 3D Zelda game is the original Zelda game on the NES was an open world kind of a sandbox game. It was the first ever. For those of you who don't know, the Zelda franchise was the beginning of actual save files. They were the first to include a battery in the cartridge itself so that you can save exactly what you had. There were passwords that kind of did your inventory, but it was nice to just, save the game, put it down, and come back and continue your adventure whenever you want. Yeah, so the Sheikah Slate has a lot of different functionalities in the game. It reminds me a lot of a Pip-Boy. I don't know if that was intentional. This whole game seems very reminiscent of Fallout series and Skyrim. One of the names I heard floating around was Zelda Skyrim Sword, which is great. I mean, it's something that I feel that has been necessary in the Zelda franchise for a while.
Link, you are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
There's voiceovers now. That's a huge deal in a Zelda game. Just in a second, they're gonna go talk to the old man. He's back, by the way. And his dialogue isn't voice acted. This is amazing. That's beautiful. So this is breathtaking. I mean, it's such a huge world. At E3, they're only opening up the plateau area, which is kind of the starting area, and they said it was something like 1 to 2% of the total map, and it was a pretty substantial area. This is during the Treehouse event, they had a little timer. So I think they get like 20 minutes or something like that to play. Anyone who's playing it at the booth at E3 is going to get their 20 minutes. But they said there's no way that anyone is going to get to all the areas, all the secrets, just in the plateau area. And that's 2% of the entire map. This is huge. I think it's going to completely change the way that you play Zelda. But it also seems a very natural progression. They've been doing the Ocarina format for a while. I mean, and it's worked amazing. Ocarina is still considered one of the best games to have ever been released. And that game is, what is it now? Like 18 years old. It's a big deal. So here we see the return of the stamina gauge. That's cool. I mean, it was in Skyward Sword, and it was one of the things that people complained about a lot. But it's nice because Link can now perform actions that he's never been able to do before. Like, Link can jump now. That's a big deal. See, he hopped a little bit right before. And you can climb pretty much any surface. Later on, they start climbing these really weird structures. So it's not just that you can climb certain things like you have been able to in the last couple versions of Zelda. There's always like a viney wall or a ladder. No, you can sheer wall rock climb in this. And the environment is one of the main characters. This is how they've been describing it, which is actually why they've called it Breath of the Wild instead of calling it, you know, a character name or a weapon name. They decided to go with Breath of the Wild simply because so much of this game is around just surviving. This is a little akin to the really popular style of gaming now, like H1Z1 and 7 Days to Die, Don't Starve. I'm not going to say Minecraft because you can't really build, but there's a lot of the crafting survival elements, which, I mean, I guess initially started with Minecraft, but it's kind of evolved into its whole new genre. And there's a lot of stuff that you can pick up. As you saw earlier, he was picking up apples, he was picking up mushrooms. And that's because in this game, there are no hearts on the floor. Enemies don't drop hearts. They drop food and weapons. And that's how you're going to be replenishing your hearts. See, here we have baked apple. See, so anything that's cooked is going to heal you for more than something that's raw. When that apple info first popped up, it was only 1/4 of a heart, but when you bake it, you get 3/4 of a heart. Oh, so here's the old man, and there's no voiceover for him, which makes me think that voiceovers will be saved for like cinematics and maybe like main story information. You also have the Sheikah tablet giving you information, occasionally nudging you, going, hey, head to the waypoint on the map, which is fine. I hope there's a way to turn that off eventually. I can see that getting annoying. Ever since Ocarina of Time, there have been cheat codes specifically to turn off the little companion character. Which here we don't have a companion character. We have a piece of technology. It doesn't have a personality. It's just giving us information. Like a Pip-Boy. Like I said, it's not like a Navi. A Navi had its own personality. It had its own reactions to everything around it. And oh, did you see that? That's amazing. So he picked up a stick, set it on fire, and the character reacted. I mean, that's something that hasn't really been around too much in the Zelda universe. I mean, you could kind of bump into people, but they didn't really react. So they have really taken a lot from modern gaming, which honestly was necessary. The Zelda franchise it's always been amazing, but there were a lot of problems with Skyward Sword, and possibly because they were using an old formula. I mean, Fallout was out by that point. There were Skyrim was out before Skyward Sword was out. You know, it's just, oh, and you see here, Like I said, you can interact with the environment. But back to what I was saying. So it was just a formula that wasn't working for them anymore. And the motion controls, that's something that people hated. I mean, I loved it. Personally, I enjoyed it, but it really set a limit on how much I could play. I would physically get tired. My wrist would hurt. And I know that's not something you really want to deal with. A lot of people, when they play video games, they'll do it on their day off and they'll take the whole day. I don't want to have to limit myself. So here we see the return of the Koroks. Apparently they're hidden around the entire world this time. And they're just little secrets. And apparently you get Korok seeds. I'm sure at some point you'll need a certain amount of seeds to do some things, so you'll have to look around. But this landscape is peppered with secret things. There's secret items. Like right here, there's a sword and a stone. And it looks like the Master Sword, but it's not. It's just a rusty broadsword. Now, the reason that you have so many weapons in this game is that weapons are going to break. I don't know if they're going to introduce a repair or upgrade so you can keep your favorite type of weapon with you. But at least initially, it's just you use it a couple times and that's it. Just about everything becomes a weapon. Later on, you see the skeletons, the Staloffs or Stallchilds, or I don't know what they want to call it, which come out at night like they did in Ocarina. And I saw someone attack one. Its arm fell off. They picked up the arm and beat it to death with its own arm, which was hilarious. I mean, there's a lot of little cool adventures that you're going to be able to do around that kind of stuff. So here we have, I think they're calling them Coblin, or it's not a Moblin. I think they're Coblin. Little encampments. So this area is primarily infested with them, and they have their little camps, and it's really interesting. It reminds me a lot of Shadow of Mordor, where you come around the orcs and they're just doing their own thing and you just roll up on them. Oh, see, there you go. The sword broke. So you picked up the pot shield. So it's just a pot lid. It's not even a shield. So there's just a lot of weapons. Now, there is a carry limit. You can only carry so many things, which I know is upsetting to some people, but also it kind of just gets ridiculous. I mean, already he's carrying like 10 sticks and a sword and a spear and an axe. Like, a normal human does not carry that much. And I know Link has always been superhuman in his just sheer physical prowess, I suppose. But it seems that they're going for a very kind of a realistic feeling to this. And it's a little more immersive. I mean, Skyrim, Fallout, they all have carry limits. It's pretty standard in the sandbox kind of world. I hope it doesn't get to be annoying, or either for it to be very generous or not annoying, or weapons are very common. Because I could see, being in the middle of a dungeon and be like, wow, I have no swords. How am I going to attack these people? With that in mind, there are a whole slew of new weapons. One of the new weapons that we might not get to see here is the magnet. Now, the magnet allows you to manipulate anything that's made of metal. And I mean anything. And you can move it in 3-dimensional space, and you can use it to crush enemies and destroy just things. You end up being able to really interact with your environment. Now here we see the remnants of a guardian. I don't know if you've noticed by now, this is a post-apocalyptic Hyrule. It's said that this Link has been in cryo sleep for 100 years. And, I mean, we obviously saw humans, so humans aren't extinct, but you don't see a civilization, at least not in this area. Perhaps when you get further down the line, there are towns, but there seems to be something very wrong in Hyrule. this is, like I said, the beginning of the game. This is how you're going to start. Now you're able to go in any direction that you want and kind of pick your own adventure, which is amazing. You know, it's a throwback to the original Zelda, where you could go for the white sword and you could go get all those heart pieces if you wanted to, if that's how you wanted to play. Now here we see the dodge mechanic. It's kind of like a bullet time, which allows you to do some fury swipes, some dodging, some backflips. There's a lot of really cool combat mechanics that have been added, which kind of reminds me of Wind Waker. I mean, that was really nice with the parrying and counters and stuff like that, without getting too crazy like Skyward Sword, where it was like, well, you have to go diagonal and then you have to jab, you know. So this allows you to do it any way that you want. So we have a lot of information. I mean, it's more than I think most people were expecting. They revealed a whole area and a lot of the mechanics. Now, in this game, there are things called, I think they're called towers or something. And there are dungeons. Now, the towers allow you to pick up special abilities or special weapons. I think once you do, they said when you do the first 4 towers, you can actually get a little paraglider, which will allow you to climb buildings or trees and just glide off into the distance. So it's gonna make the traveling a little easier. Also, the shield, oh my god, the shield can actually be used as a little like skateboard surfer thing, kind of like in Legolas and the 2 towers, and you can actually shoot while you're on the shield. Now you need to go to the top of a very tall hill, I think with like no obstructions or something like that, but you jump and you press a combination of buttons and he just puts the shield under him. Now that is going to break your shield. Again, everything has a durability. There are a lot of things that have been changed from what people usually think of a Zelda game. The conventions have been, you know, thrown out the window. The only thing they've kept, the only thing they that they were saying that they absolutely wanted to keep was Link waking up, just because the game makes more sense that way. And I agree, it gives you a beginning. I mean, if you're just kind of out in a field, you're like, well, who the fuck am I, you know? And this is really going to allow us to be able to go and kind of explore. I think a lot of this game is going to be oriented around figuring out who you are. You just don't know who you are. Why are you in cryo sleep? Why did you sleep 100 years? You know, like, there's a lot of different things. Now, right there, we see that little purple gauge next to the map. That's a noise gauge. So this is going to allow you to sneak up on enemies and catch them off guard. You could probably take out enemies that you're not ready for if you sneak up on them. You know, it's going to change that a lot. There's also a temperature gauge. That means that there's weather effects, there's rain, there's areas with snow, and the areas with snow, you need to be wearing a quilted tunic or make potions. Now, in this game, you're able to pick up a lot of food items, and that's how you're going to replenish your hearts. Now, when you do a certain combination of items into the little pot, you're going to be able to make potions that are going to increase your stamina gauge, increase your total hearts, refill your hearts, or just keep you warm. There are a lot of different potions and a lot of different recipes that Nintendo has been showing off all throughout E3. They did, I think, approximately like 10 hours of live streaming yesterday, yeah. And it was amazing. I mean, there's just so much information, and everyone who was playing, it was just a completely different experience, because it really depends on the play style that you like. Like, they have someone that they call Chico. She's really violent. Like, she goes around burning everything and blowing everything up and attacking just about everyone. And it really changes the whole experience.
Open your eyes.
It's just beautiful. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at that guy. That guy's huge. And we have wildlife. Oh, you can hunt. It's not required for those of you who'd rather not kill the animals or whatever. But it's something that you can do if you want to. There's no companion in this game. It's kind of a solitary, very quiet game. I don't know if you noticed, this isn't the regular Zelda fanfare music. This is a quiet piano and just kind of atmospheric sounds. See? That's the paraglider I was talking about. But if you have an amiibo, this does have amiibo functionality. If you have the wolf amiibo, you can get him to follow you around. You scan him in, and it's kind of like having Dogme. So it's really amazing the things that they're doing. They're also releasing 3 new amiibos. One of an archer Link, Link on horseback, and an articulated guardian, which is amazing. It'll be the first amiibo which is articulated. You'll be able to manipulate his little arms. As you see here, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Look, there's the cooking. Yeah, see? And some of this stuff like really reminds me of like the Far Cry, like rolling up on little encampments. See, here we see a new weapon. Oh, there's the magnet. Yeah, this is just breathtaking. I think this is a lot better than anyone could have hoped for. I mean, it's really just amazing. I know a lot of people have been complaining about the delays to the game, and now it becomes obvious. I mean, this world is huge. They said this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, maps in any game that has ever been released. And while some people they'll go, oh yeah, well, every year it's the biggest. But no, this is Zelda's first sandbox game. They had to make the engine from the ground up. So I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. March 2017. I mean, here we see the Master Sword. It's rusty. Why is it rusty? There's just so many questions that have come up that I hope will get answered soon. And I hope to see you guys soon. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah. Wow is all I have to say.